Good morning, all. Let me move this out of the way so we can do some work. Good morning, all. Today, we're going to test this proximity sensor. It is part number IN5262, or it has two part numbers, IN-2004-FRKG. And this is an amazing little device. You can set it up to where when the prox is flagged, it switches on the load, or when the prox is flagged, it switches off the load. So I have a peanut bulb here, 24 volt peanut bulb. This is going to be our load, and we'll hook it up. Let's get close to that test. I have a diagram here to help us hook up and functional test this proximity sensor. And I'll put this diagram up at the end of the video. That way you can test your proximity sensors. Set up our power supply here. 24 volts DC. Turn that power supply off. Okay. Now right now, we're going to connect the black wire to ground to the 24 volt DC power supply, and we're going to connect the white wire here to our load lamp, our peanut bulb. The other side of the lamp goes to plus 24 volts. Now we get a screwdriver so we can flag that sensor. This right here is the sensor face. Now watch what happens when I flag that sensor. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? There's a little red lamp right here to indicate that it's flagged. It's amazing. Now that's with the black wire going to ground and the white wire going to the load. The other side of the load connected to plus 24 volts DC. Now let's switch the black and the white wire, and you'll see what happens. We're going to flip this around here, the white wire going to power supply ground, and the black wire going to our load lamp. Now look at that, it's turned on. Watch what happens when I flag that sensor. It turns off. It's opposite. Flagged, not flagged. Flagged, not flagged. It is an amazing little sensor. It works. There's nothing wrong with that sensor right there. Now I'm using a light bulb load. You could turn a relay on or a solenoid on. Whatever you wanted to put in the load. Let me read the specs on this. It tells you some things that are pretty important to that sensor. I'm going to take my hat off so I don't get in the way. I need to get me close-up glasses here. Okay. It looks like the distance from the sensor that we have good flagging is up to 4 millimeters. Now the voltage, we're using 24 volts DC, but you could use this sensor from 10 volts to 55 volts DC. And a max load current of 400 milliamps. That's a pretty good little sensor right there. Wide range, a variety of uses. Now let's switch back the other way. We'll put the black wire, you have black wire and a white wire, put the black wire to power supply ground and the white wire to the load. Now we're off. Let's flag the sensor. Now we're on. Not flagged, flagged. Not flagged, flagged. That's amazing. That is amazing. Okay. The customer wanted us to make sure that that sensor was functioning. They were troubleshooting their machine, and they weren't sure if the sensor was good or not. So apparently, they have something wrong other than this sensor. They might have broke wire, something like that, or whatever this is turning on and off, or off and on, depending on how they got it wired. They might have a bad relay, bad solenoid, whatever this is turning on and off. So we can give that back to them and they can put it back in their machine. All right, wasn't that fun? That is fascinating. That is fascinating. You gotta love electronics. Let's take a look at the diagrams real quick. There are two ways to configure this proximity sensor, either as a normally open switch or a normally closed switch. Now, as a normally open switch, you want the white wire going to the load and the other side of the load going up to your power supply positive terminal, in our case 24 volts DC, and the ground of the power supply going to the black wire. As a normally closed switch, you want the black wire of the proximity sensor going to the load and the white wire going to ground of the power supply. Those are the two ways you can set up that proximity sensor. It's an amazing little device right there. Amazing. All right, all. Have you a good day. We're going to get on out of here. We got some chores to do at the house. We'll see you in the next one.